Live from the heart of the Blue Ridge, Roanoke, Virginia. It's the Just Bernard Show with host Bernard Alvarez. Join Bernard as he shares topics that reveal the real matrix and empower your human experience, including world liberty, the esoteric, suppressed technologies, spiritual ascension, and human consciousness. Humanity has awakened, and our time has come to realize our full potential. And now, live from the Star City, your host, Bernard Alvarez.
So, welcome to the Just Bernard Show. Today we are going to be talking about mindfulness, and I want to take this opportunity to touch on an actual post that I had yesterday that kind of stimulated me and inspired me to do this talk today. And it was that post, I think I posted it yesterday or Sunday afternoon. It was an image of the Buddha head, and it's a meme I did years ago. It says, starve your distractions and feed your focus. And that got me thinking about how we are so easily distracted. And not only are we distracted by external stimuli, but as well as our own thoughts. For me, the practice of mindfulness is about being in the moment. It is about, well, it's the, let me look up the definition I got here from my notes. It is the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. And how often in our lives and throughout our day-to-day moments are we actually aware of what we're doing? So let's talk about what it means to be mindful. Now, I know that you all have heard me talk about the idea of being vigilant as to what we expose our senses to, being aware of what we are looking at, what we're listening to, what we're putting into our body, what are we tasting, what are we seeing, what are we feeling, because all of these senses, all of these, hearing, seeing, touching, tasting, smelling, all do have an action within our consciousness, and it could be something that is relaxing, it could be something that is joyful, or it is something that can create anxiety and distract us and move us down another stream of consciousness into something that we don't really necessarily need to focus on. And why is it important for us to be able to starve our distractions and feed our focus? It is my belief, and I'm sure it is yours too, that if we weren't so busy spinning our wheels in our head throughout the day, we wouldn't feel as much anxiety. As well, we would be able to focus on the things that allow us to express our full spiritual and or human potential. So the first thing I like to talk about is being aware of when you are being proactive versus reactive. Are you reacting to a sound outside? I always make the joke, and a lot of us make that, oh, a squirrel, look, a squirrel. Are we reacting to a sudden movement? Are we jumpy with loud noises? Are we reacting to ideas that we have to fulfill something throughout the day? And we're going to go into more detail about this. But I just want to get the gist of, the definition of what is proactive versus reactive and being more aware of that. So some of the things that we may not acknowledge that we're being distracted by is honestly social media. And here I am right on social media. Social media, television, radio, constantly bombarding us with messages, advertisements, political posts. There is always something to create and generate some type of reaction out of us. I mean, that's the reality of what advertising is for. It is to generate some kind of reaction, so you'll remember to buy the product, or you'll hate the immigrants, or you'll vote for the libertarian or the Democrat or whatever. It's to generate a response. It is planned that way. There's tons of research and literally billions of dollars spent around the world that studies our psychology and our sociology in order for these advertising companies and or political parties or whatnot to be able to generate some type of reaction out of you. And one of the most important things that we can do in order to begin to feed our focus and to starve the distraction is to be honest with ourselves. Are we being honest when we acknowledge that we've been manipulated and we have that aha moment like, oh, wow, I'm really being manipulated by this ad. Look how it's pulling my heartstring, or it's making me angry, or it's making me, I should say the wording would be, I am allowing it to react. I'm allowing it to generate a reaction of greed, or of need, or of want, or of anger, or of hate. We give it permission to do that. So taking responsibility and acknowledging when the media is manipulating us is a very, very important aspect of this. And it's one of many types of distractions that we deal with. I mean, we're living in the 21st century. Of course, we're going to be distracted by so much that is happening in the world today, some of it good, some of it bad. But there are some basic things that every human being allows ourselves to be distracted by. Another one of the things that we can be aware of, and by the way, I am going into what distracts us, and then we'll go into some steps on what we can do to feed our focus versus feeding our distraction, how to starve a distraction. One of the things that I find it, you know, and all of us do as we become more and more successful in our careers or in our jobs, or start accumulating things, possessions, whether it's a car. What does a car do? Car breaks down. It creates a distraction. Cars, you have to pay taxes, you got to pay insurance, you have to pay that. The point I'm trying to make is it's not just a car, it's all possessions. Things that we own require our time. The more things you have in your home, the more things you have to clean, you have to dust, you have to replace when they break because you're used to having them in your life. Every increased possession, whether we want to admit it or not, adds increased stress in our life. It's more things to maintain. It's more things to think about. It's more things to repair, and it's more things to guard from somebody else taking. I don't want them to take it from me. It's mine, mine, mine. So think about that. I'm not saying live a life of minimalism, but be aware not to allow the things you own to own you. You know, yes, I'm using the cliche. It's a cliche. Another one of the main distractions that I find, not only within myself, well, not so much anymore, but in my youth, as well as with people that I know, is the pull of comparison, comparing ourselves to other. I'm not as thin as that person. I'm not as wealthy as that person. I'm not as young as that person. I'm not as old as that person. I'm not as tall. I'm not as rich. I don't have as nice a car. I don't have as nice of a house. I don't have as nice of a lawn. I don't have the coolest dog in town. Comparing. Talk about distracting. Talk about distracting. And not only is it distracting, it is a reaction. It creates a reaction. So when we compare ourselves to other people, immediately we react to that. Oh my God, I don't have it. Oh my God, look at me. I'm not good enough. I don't have this. I don't have that. And then we're reacting to fulfill or to bring balance, bring that peace back into our life. But meanwhile, we're going outward to try to fill that void, which will never be filled when we react in that way. So being aware of the fact that we are distracted by comparisons is one way to work toward feeding our focus. The world we live in today is plagued with distractions. The funny part is these distractions are self-imposed. when we realize that we are giving that thought permission, we always say, oh, I'm not going to let them, what is the saying, let them pay rent in my mind or whatever, take up space. We're giving them the space, the time, the attention, and they're just thoughts. Where do they stem from, though? They stem from external stimuli. What do we allow into our lives? It all goes back to, what are we allowing into our senses? What are we allowing into our eyes that are stimulating the thoughts in our mind? What are we allowing into our ears that are stimulating the thoughts in our mind? I haven't listened to commercial radio in 20 years. We all hate the commercial radio. We all hate the commercials and those morning talk shows with people screaming at each other and whatnot. But why do it? Don't listen to commercial radio. Don't listen to commercials on television. I can't stand the commercials on television. Yeah, of course I have Hulu with no commercials, or Netflix with no commercials. Of course I want to watch a movie or TV. There's nothing wrong with, and we're going to get to that, with rewarding ourselves at the end of a long day to relax and unwind. But be mindful of what you're allowing into your ears. What are you allowing into your eyes? So one of the things that I do to feed my focus, it's very interesting. Some people find it to be rude, but this is what I do for my sanity. And this is the number one thing we can do for feeding your focus and becoming more mindful, is to give yourself permission to do what you need to do in order to grow your mindfulness. When we can remove these idea of accumulation of possession, or these comparisons of how other people act versus how I should act, as we remove the external stimuli, we become more authentic. And when we become more authentic, we are becoming more honest with ourselves and what we need, not what we want, what we need to feed our focus, to be more authentic, to give us that roadmap to fulfill our potentiality and what we are able to do here on this planet. Not everybody knows what they're here to do on the planet, but if you can peel all that stuff away, maybe you'll have the opportunity to hear that voice within you that is motivating you. So anyway, giving yourself permission to do this, to do these steps. And the first one that I do, which comes off very rude to many people, is set a do not disturb time. And especially for me, I work from home. I am my own boss. I need to not be disturbed. I have signs all over my house. Do not bother me when I'm working. If I'm at my desk, I am at work. If friends are over, please go in the other room, go out back. I am at work. If I have a roommate, I'm at my desk. I am at work. And this doesn't necessarily need to be for someone who's self-employed or works from home. This can be just on your free time. Allow yourself to do what you want to do, and to really demand do not disturb time. You can have it as me time. I do not want to be disturbed by the phone. And this is actually where this goes into, especially for those of us who are self-employed and telecommute. You can't have the phone ringing. You can't have the text dinging. You can't have the TV on selling you things. You must have do not disturb so you can focus. It's important to give yourself, even if it's a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, give yourself that permission to have do not disturb time. It's all right. Do not answer emails. Do not respond to comments on Facebook. Do not answer the phone. Again, me time, very important. As well, one of the things that we can do to feed our focus is to, well, for me, one example for me is I have an Android phone. So, and I have to have a calendar. I'm an extremely busy person. I need to have a calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. And every morning, I've got, that stupid little voice on Android or Google, good morning, Bernard. You have this. This is the weather. This is the commute, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes I allow myself, I can feel it, like I'm getting overwhelmed. Oh, well, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. And I have to remind myself, do one task at a time. One task at a time. Get up, go brush your teeth, go have some coffee. Well, not in that order, but just one thing at a time. Do your social media, prepare for your radio show, prepare for the diversity center, finish that report, finish that proposal, blah, 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 etc. One thing at a time. There could be 20 things to do in your day, but just focus on one thing at a time. Don't allow yourself to get overwhelmed. It's very easy to get overwhelmed when you see, especially with the holidays coming up. Oh, I got to put up the tree. I've got to prepare dinner for my family. I've got to buy Christmas gifts. You don't have to do anything, first of all. But if that is the things that you've chosen to do that are now on your task list, just do them one at a time. Focus on the one thing at a time. That is what mindfulness is. I am here speaking to you live, doing my broadcast. I'm not worried about what I have to do. Well, now I am, because I'm thinking about it. I'm doing laundry. I have to go finish the laundry when I'm done with this, because this is the only time during my week that I have time to do laundry. But I will worry about my laundry after I finish doing this show. This is my focus right now. Being mindful in the moment. One task at a time. Don't get jittery. Don't get anxious. Also, it's important to take a social media fast. I know it sounds counterproductive. I'm a social media influencer, whatever you want to call it. I have a large social media presence. Yes, yes, yes. This is how I get my message out. This is my platform. But I take a social media fast. I give myself time in the morning before I start working on my other projects. I give some time before dinner, and then I'm done. I'm done. Maybe on Saturday night I'll hang out with you guys and chat with you, or post lots of stuff, but that's it. And one day a week, there is no social media interaction. I will not even open Facebook. I will not even open Instagram, whatever. I can get all the notifications I want one day a week. That's my do not disturb. Make sure you set a no social media time, even if it's for 1 hour a day, or even 1 hour a week, if that's all if that's what you need to start off with. Remember, it's very distracting. While we are on the topic of social media, I have a thing that I call SOB, and it's not what you think. SOB means scroll on by. Whenever someone says something that might be not so nice, or something you disagree with. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do have if you attack me personally, or you are very rude or disrespectful to me, then I am going to take action, because it's my space. My space, remember that? It's my property. I'm not going to let you walk on my lawn and call me names. So of course, on my page, if people start calling me names, I'll block them or delete the comment or whatever. But as far as like opinions, everyone's got them, and that's okay. Scroll on by. If you see an article about Donald Trump you don't like, scroll on by. If you see an article about Bernie Sanders you don't like, scroll on by. SOB, scroll on by. You do not need to react. One of the other things I used to talk about that was very funny about Facebook is Facebook reactive syndrome. We don't need it. You must be aware when you are reacting. You must be aware when you are reacting, and there's a time and a place to react. Be mindful. If you're going to react, be mindful that you're going to react. I saw a post the other day about the Dakota Access Pipeline. 380,000 gallons spilled. Remember, we were worried about them doing that, spilling it into the wetlands. Did I react? Of course I reacted. This is an issue that I care about, and I feel that I made sure that I spread that article everywhere. But did I tell off the people that, did it or what? No, of course not. But I wanted to share the information. But yes, I reacted because I thought that was important. But as far as like opinions, don't bother reacting to that. React to issues, react to inequality, react to bigotry, react toward hate, react toward destruction of the environment, react to people oppressing other people. But don't react because, somebody liked Donald Trump and you don't, or Donald Trump said something stupid that he says 18 times a day, or a politician says something stupid that they say 1,800 times a day. That's normal. That's par for the course. Don't take it personally. One of the most important things I learned a long time ago, actually, and this is very important, is staying hydrated. I know, sounds like a cliche, but it's not. The idea that people do not drink enough water, or healthy water for that matter, is very, very important. And by the way, try to get defluoridated water. We'll get into that. Actually, I think next week we're going to be working, doing some work on the third eye and the pineal gland, and I will get more into the fluoride calcification of the pineal gland. But if you can, try to reduce. You don't need to be perfect. I'm sure it slips in some places in my diet. I'm sure in my shower, I get it through my skin, but try to reduce fluoride intake. If you can get a filter that can reduce it, but drink more water. Drink more water. You always see me, every show, actually anybody who knows me, I'm always walking around with a reusable water bottle. And if you ever see it tinted, it's because I put electrolytes into it. Stay hydrated. Use the reusable bottle. Put some those electrolyte drops that you can get at the grocery store for $1 or $2. But stay hydrated. It is what allows the brain to function at its highest potential. Care about your brain. You want to feed your focus? You want to elevate yourself to your highest potential? Care for your brain. Pretty simple stuff. And then something that I discovered I don't want to say I discovered it, something that really affected me when I went on the Spirit Heart Cruise. I was watching Miriam Delgado was speaking, actually, one of my dear friends. She was doing her presentation, and she said, and I'm basically paraphrasing her talk here. This part of my talk is paraphrasing what she said. She said, don't let it go. Let it flow. To think that you're letting something go means you're holding it and you're pushing it, like letting it go. You're pushing it away. You were grasping at it in the first place. We want to get out of the habit of grasping. Let it flow is learning to let that thought just flow. The thoughts are going to flow. It's when we grasp onto it that we have to let it go. Start letting it flow. Things happen. Life happens. You're not going to die. You're not going to die. You saw an awful thing on Facebook. Oh my, did it kill you? No. Donald Trump said something idiotic again. Did it kill you? No. I mean, unless he pisses off the Russians too much, but being facetious. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. Let it flow. Let it flow. Let it flow. You catch a cold, you're probably going to get over it. Let it flow. You lost your job, you're probably going to get another job. Let it flow. Somebody said something wrong to you, more people are going to say it to you. It's not the last time it's going to happen. Let it flow. Don't grasp onto the thought. And I'm not saying, in no way am I saying to allow harmful things to happen to you or to other people. Of course, you understand all of this underlies harm none, do what you will. That is the foundation of everything for me. So long as it doesn't harm you, let it flow. You'll have more harm by grasping onto the thoughts. Let it flow. And then lastly, you know what I'm going to say. Mindfulness. How do we practice mindfulness? How can we practice all of these With a mind that is racing, we can't. We must learn to meditate. I'm lucky the way my life has been with all these projects I'm working on and our organizations and shows and blah, blah, blah. I'm lucky to do 5 or 10 minutes a day. I mean, I am. Yes, on Sunday I give myself a day where I can do 20 minutes, an hour, 5 or 10 minutes a day. And that's all you really need once you get into the routine of it. It's learning to bring your focus and your center back to the present. And it's as simple as breathing. If you learn to focus on your breathing, breathe with me, you will notice that the thoughts begin to slow down. Breathe with me. Suddenly, instead of hearing your thoughts, you start hearing, I hear the air conditioner behind me. I hear the bird chirping outside the window. When you begin to focus on your on your breathing, your thoughts become more quiet. You begin to feel the moment. You become more present. And focusing on your thoughts is the first step of meditation. Focusing on your breathing. Allowing the thoughts to fly by, allowing them. It's a stream of consciousness. That's all it is. Thoughts are just a stream of consciousness. And you have the ability to watch a stream. It's almost like a conveyor belt of choices that are constantly going on every single day within our mind. It's like channel surfing. You choose what you're going to watch. It's the same thing you can do with your thoughts, and it's the same thing you can do with what you want to do with your life. What is your focus? What's your focus? What do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on inner peace? Do you want to focus on helping to create peace around the world? Do you want to focus on happiness? Or do you want to focus on being distracted? Do you want to focus on what you don't have versus what you do have versus what they have versus what you don't have? The foundation is taking a deep breath, focusing on the breath, and just allowing the nothing, allowing the thoughts to begin to loosen their grip on your focus. And then you'll find you can choose what you want to focus on. Anyway, so we are out of time, everyone. I want to thank you for joining me today. You guys were wonderful. Thank you for all the wonderful comments, and it's so nice to see many of you that are there on the chat. Hello. I'm looking at the chat room here. Anyway, thank you guys. And next week, we are going to take this a little bit further. We're going to go into the pineal gland as well as how to stimulate the third eye. What are some things that we can do to open up our third eye and decalcify that pineal gland, which if you don't exercise it, that's what happens. And from here to then, please look up the pineal gland. Guess what's in there? That is what opens your consciousness to the other realms. Anyway, there's a whole movie there, The Spirit Molecule. Go check it out. I think it's free on one of these services. Anyway, I love you. You have a wonderful week. I hope you all have had a wonderful Samhain season. It's been great. And remember, starve your distractions. Starve them. Stop. Just stop. Don't give them your attention. And if you do, say, I gave them my attention. Now I'm going to feed my focus. I'm going to take a deep breath. Let it flow. and feed my focus. I love you. Have a great week. Bye-bye.